Hello and welcome to Reality Recapped, where I recap all of the trashiest reality shows. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Heather. I have a bachelor's degree in psychology, and it's through that lens that I watch these shows and make my comments. Of course, I have not met with any of the people on this show, so everything that I state is simply an opinion. My channel is a little bit of education and a whole lot of snark. This week, I'm recapping Sister Wives Season 2, Episode 6, Polygamous Party. Before I start the episode, I want to tell you a little bit about what's going on behind the scenes. I continually am getting copyright claims. Every time that I edit a video and upload it to YouTube, it takes about 2 to 3 hours. I literally spent all day yesterday and into the evening trying to edit the video so that it would pass the copyright claims. And I am at this point deciding to go with a different strategy because this video is finished and I want to put it out there and I can't. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to recap what's happening in this scene and then state my reaction to it. I know this isn't ideal. I much rather you hear the audio from them having these conversations because little things are missed when it's a recap, but I will do my best to make this as enjoyable as possible. Again, if this doesn't work for you anymore, I understand. I get it. It's frustrating. But I'm doing the best that I possibly can on my end, and I hope you'll give me a little bit of grace while I work this out. Meri tells us they're having a dinner party for a bunch of their friends who are not polygamous. Cody says, we used to have a barrier with us and some of our friends who didn't know that we are polygamous, but now, since we've come out publicly, we can tell all of our friends that we're polygamous. And now people can interface with them as a whole family, whereas before they had to hide it. So becoming public as polygamous, that barrier is now removed. Let me tell you, on the surface, this episode looks like a snooze fest. There are 2 topics that get covered in this episode. The first is the Browns have now come out as polygamous. And so they are going to host a dinner party with their non-polygamous friends and talk about the fact that they are polygamous and that they can now be open. Yawn. Right? The other thing they're going to talk about is Meri going and getting a colonoscopy because she's at a higher risk of colon cancer because of her sister having passed away at a very young age from colon cancer. And in this episode, you are going to see Robin use the death of Meri's sister to push forward her own agenda of getting Cody to adopt her children. And of course, something has to happen before Cody can legally adopt those children. And that is he has to divorce Meri and marry Robin. Remember, at this point, she's probably 4 to 5 months into the marriage with the Browns. Meri goes on to tell us that her sister Teresa was diagnosed with colon cancer almost 6 years ago. Teresa was 31 years old at the time, and she lost her battle with colon cancer 11 months later. Meri goes on and says she was at a stage 4 cancer when she was diagnosed. Meri says she remembers 2 days before she passed away that her sister said, no, I'm going to fight this. I don't want to leave my kids. She had 4 children, and her youngest was only 4 years old at the time. I really feel for her children and the fact that they lost their mother and how hard that would be. But Meri says that there's a bright side to this. Teresa was the second wife and part of a polygamous family. So when she passed away unexpectedly, a sister wife stepped up and took care of her kids, and she's raising them as her own. An option Meri doesn't even bring up is that she's been wanting more children. She has 1 child, and she would like to have more. If they weren't in the sister wife situation, she would have had more kids that she could have raised. But they don't even bring that up as an alternative. And maybe it's because there's the other sister wives that are going to step in. But again, Meri goes back to this just being one of the benefits of living in a polygamous lifestyle. Just another benefit of polygamy. If you hypothetically get cancer and pass away, your husband doesn't have to go find somebody else. He already has someone else. Robin says there is an unspoken rule about this in their polygamous culture, and that is if something happens to one of the other wives, it's a given that I'm going to take on raising those kids. They're my kids too. I think we're all expected to think like, wow, what a great person Robin is because she's willing to take care of another sister wife's children in their untimely death. But seeing truly with her, I mean, she's not crying, but she's looking for Christine and doesn't seem really thrilled to be held by Robin. Knowing what we know now about Robin, I don't think she'd be a great replacement for any of the mothers. We know that she treats her children very differently than she treats the rest of Cody's children. Janelle says, in a society that doesn't have a family structure like ours does, if both parents are not there anymore, they go to a sister or a grandma. I guess that's one of the built-in things for us, is that we have other mothers in the family who would step in and take those children. I mean, if both your mom and your dad have passed away, is it really better to stay with a sister wife? Or is it better to go to your grandparents, aunts or uncles? And how on earth is that one woman going to take care of all of those children by herself? I guess maybe she'll get another sister wife?
For me, with my kids, if something were to happen to me, it'd get a little bit more complicated because they have a biological father besides Janelle, Christine, Meri, and Cody and I. And so it's a little bit different situation for me, unfortunately. So.
Well, that's making me very sad.
I know.
I would totally fight for them.
Like you guys are talking to me, I'm like,
I would totally fight for them.
Robin is so good at figuring out little ways to kind of work her agenda and make it seem completely innocent. I'm flabbergasted. This is 5 months into the marriage, and we know that she ends up getting this taken care of. And of course, the argument's like, it's to protect my kids. It's all about my kids. This isn't even for me. But of course, she benefited so much financially by being the one legal wife. If she were to leave Cody now, she's the only one that's going to get any sort of alimony. Meri tells us that she's been recently working with a cancer research organization, and having had a sibling die from colon cancer raises her risks significantly. There could be a serious issue, and she'd have no idea until it's progressed enough. Colon cancer is not something that you have many symptoms of. Maybe he's nervous, but this makes me think Cody has never gone to a doctor before. You do not knock on the waiting room door. Meri says she tries to be optimistic, so she's tried to just think, I'm okay, nothing's wrong. But there's always that chance. You have no idea. Her sister would have had no idea. So we are all guilty of this. At least I am. I am guilty of maybe putting off appointments. Nothing crazy, but just, not being as on top of things as I could be. If you are in the situation right now where there's an appointment that you're supposed to make, pause the video, go make your appointment, come back. I'll be here waiting for you, and you'll have that done and a little check mark off your list. Take care of yourself, go see the doctor. I think it's pretty ironic that Meri, who's known that she's at a higher risk for colon cancer and has known that for 6 years, but has not gone and seen a doctor, that the Cancer Society is like, we need you as the face of cancer prevention. Does that seem ironic to anybody else? But hey, being a spokesperson for a cancer research organization gets Meri to go get a colonoscopy. I'm all for it. The doctor, Uma Karnam, comes in and introduces himself. He's a gastroenterologist. He says he understands Meri is there because her sister passed away from colon cancer and she wants to make sure she's okay. He asks her if she's had any of the following symptoms. Things like stomach pain, any alterations in bowel habits. Meri says no, but the doctor says that given that you had a sister pass away at a very young age from colon cancer, it puts her at a much higher risk of colon cancer. The best screening procedure for her is a colonoscopy. With the colonoscopy, what's going to happen? He's going to insert a small camera into her colon, and he's going to look for polyps. If he finds any, he's going to remove them, have them biopsied. If they come back as cancer, they will then take the next steps forward for treatment. Meri tells the camera she's trying to be positive, but that she's getting a little scared. The fact that she is at a higher risk is weighing a little bit heavier on her. I don't think this is new news for Meri because she says 4 of her siblings have had colonoscopies. So clearly the family knows. I think Meri's just in denial. Hey, we've all done this. We've all been there. This is another gentle reminder. If there's an appointment that you're putting off and you know you're at a higher risk, just go make the appointment. Meri sets up a procedure for a later date, and we return to a lighter topic.
Why you didn't leave her with Mariah?
I know, okay, I know. It's like this cute new outfit.
She's probably going to be mad at you.
I don't know if you heard that, but Meri was saying, I don't know why you brought her, meaning Truly. And then she's saying, why didn't you leave her with Mariah? Mariah's going to be mad at you because she was going to babysit her or something. And Christine's like, I know, I just wanted my baby. Like, Christine is such a good mom. Just wants her baby near her all the time. It's very sweet. And I'm not surprised that Meri is giving her a hard time that she brought along her child. Christine tells us that they've all invited their own friends, and these are people that are not polygamous like they are. They're either monogamous or in other types of relationships. And these are people that they've known for a long time, but that they're finally able to be open with because they've come out publicly as polygamous. Christine's phone rings, and it's Cody, and he's asking, is there anything else that I can pick up for you for this dinner? And Christine says, we're still planning the menu. Can you maybe call me back later? Because we don't really know yet.
All right.
See ya, thanks.
Love you too, bye.
Okay, bye.
Did you guys all say you
Love you.
He said, I love you. And I said, I love you. And they didn't say I love you.
I didn't say I love you.
And I say, you got to say he loves you back because he just said, I love you. And I'm sure that was a group. I love you.
I'm sure it was. I just didn't hear it.
And this is another example of Robin just being cap in hand, just wanting to fit in, not wanting to call any shots. They said they didn't hear him like 3 or 4 times. This was not intentional. It's not really your place to manage how they talk to their husbands. Honestly, if I didn't dislike Robin, I'd be like, whatever, this is no big deal. But it's really hard to maintain objectivity when you know the subject. Meri says that before she came out as publicly polygamous, she really kept people at a distance. And so she never had friends that lived close around her in case they may find out. Robin says, as a child that grew up in polygamy, I never talked about or shared with my belief systems with any of my friends. Christine tells us that her dad's dad was jailed for polygamy, and so that they had to be very quiet about their lifestyle and very secretive. Meri says, I would like to have 3 tables lined up this way. Christine says, all touching. Robin asks, how are they touching? Meri said, like how we're touching. See, Christine, come here. Show Robin how we're touching. Robin says, like a table like this, one long table? And Meri says, no, a table like this. And there's people all around us. I love this whole conversation and them giving Robin kind of a hard time about a table and how a table can touch another table. I will always highlight when they're joking around because it's so nice to see them laughing and getting along. And I appreciate the break in kind of the backstory of what I think is going on in these scenes. Like, for example, this is a power struggle, in my opinion. Meri is used to calling the shots. Janelle and Christine are people that are going to pick and choose their battles. They would rather everybody get along than have the table set up how they want them. I think Robin's coming in. This is her house that they're having the event. So I could understand her being a little bit more vocal about how she wanted things to be set up. I think this is the beginning of a little bit of a dynamic of Meri being accustomed to getting her way, but being challenged by Robin. Cody says that before coming out publicly as a polygamist, that he had to be really careful about what he said around people to make sure that he didn't give it away. And he always felt like you wanted to test a person to find out if they were safe with it before they disclosed that they were polygamous. And Cody says they've lived this way for 20 years. Christine says that the kids were really nervous about being discovered that they were polygamous. And one day there was a kid that was picking on McKelty and Logan stopped it. And he said, hey, leave my sister alone. Logan became really scared that he had just outed his family as polygamous. Well, I'm a little confused because weren't they homeschooled for the majority of the time? And then didn't they then go to a private school where most of the kids came from polygamous families? Am I misremembering that? Do you see why this family is confusing for me? Like, I feel like if the story is, I don't know, I doubt they're making this up though. Like, I mean, it sounds like this happened, but like, what? But I thought you were at a school with other polygamous families. Anyone else want to weigh in on this? Janelle said that the kids knew what other people that weren't polygamous thought about their lifestyle. The women without a voice, the underage marriages, all the things that everybody thinks of when they think about people in their lifestyle. Cody says they were much more subdued because each one of them had had experiences where they felt 100% full rejection because of their lifestyle. Cody goes on to say people don't like what they don't understand. I have to agree with Cody here. I do think that people tend to get very judgmental on things that they don't fully understand. And it's hard to see somebody as a stereotype if you actually know them individually. So I agree with what he's saying here. I think majority of public perception about polygamy is so entangled in the underage marriages. And I think that is the biggest stain on that type of lifestyle.
Into my world.
This is new news for Meri because she says 4 of her siblings. And this is another example of Robin just being cap in hand, just wanting to fit in, not wanting to call any shots. They said they didn't hear him like 3 or 4 times. This was not intentional. It's not really your place to manage how they talk to their husbands. Honestly, if I didn't dislike Robin, I'd be like, whatever, this is no big deal. But it's really hard to maintain objectivity when you know the subject. The ladies head off to the grocery store to get the items they need to make dinner. Robin says that what a lot of people think of when people are polygamous is they think about the fact that the woman must have really low self-esteem because in their mind, the woman is essentially saying to their husband, go ahead and cheat on me. Robin says if they can get past that, and yeah, we have a different lifestyle, but if they get to know us, what they really come to understand is that it's really all about the girl. And she makes this face as if we are all morons. It's really not even about my husband. It's about all of the other wives. And it shows a really fun clip of the women going grocery shopping together and having just a fun cut-up time. It's a girl party, Robin says. And Christine pipes in, and everybody, all girls, love girl parties. And they're like, yeah. And then Janelle says, see, this is why I work a lot. I don't like to go to the grocery store because they get really loud and it's really embarrassing. And oh my God, I just love it. Oh, I love Janelle. She's so freaking funny. It's really annoying that they always say this, that it's like, it's not even about them. Robin says this. It's not even about the man. It's about all the girls. It's a girl party. It's like, no, none of you would be in a group if it wasn't for Cody. I'm happy that they're able to laugh and get along at the grocery store. It's nice that they had some fun times. I have fun times too with my friends, and they're not sleeping with my hypothetical husband. It's the following day, and it's Meri's colonoscopy day. So they wake up really early. There is not any sunlight, and it looks freezing. The women talk about how Meri has delayed getting this done and how that's been frustrating for them. Christine says she was upset with Meri, and for years she's been telling her to go get a colonoscopy. Janelle said, I was frustrated with her too because Teresa's could have been caught early and could have been prevented. And by Meri delaying it, if there is something going on, it could have advanced to the point where they can't save her any longer. Janelle said that the doctor recommended that all of Teresa's siblings get tested because he felt that there was a very strong genetic possibility that the other siblings would also have issues with colon cancer. Janelle said, this is something that you just can't take lightly. It was horribly devastating to lose Teresa, and they didn't want that to happen with Meri. So Meri and Cody arrive at the hospital, and Meri explains that they are checking for polyps. And if there are polyps, they will remove them and they will send them off to be biopsied. Not all polyps turn into cancer, but that is where cancer typically forms. So I don't know this personally. This is what Meri is relaying in her talking head. Meri says that 4 of her siblings have already gotten colonoscopies and that they all had polyps. Meri says going in and getting the procedure done, she's starting to feel a little scared sitting on that bed waiting. Cody says, yeah, Meri and I have never even really talked about, like, what are we going to do if she ends up having cancer? I totally understand not wanting to have a conversation around this. It's really hard to face end-of-life things that you know are not necessarily going to be pleasant, but it's really a gift for everybody around you because it gives you this opportunity to, in my untimely death, this is where I want my kids to go. And you've already had those conversations. The same for an advance directive. If I got into an accident and I was in a coma, what is it that I want to have done? When you can't vocalize for yourself because you're too sick to do so, you can create a document that the hospitals will follow because these are your preferences. And that's called an advance directive. So this show is encouraging me in the next month to create a will and to create an advance directive. These are both things that I have also been avoiding. So this show is going to remind me that I need to do that. So I'm going to put that on my calendar as a to-do list. It's not a fun thing to do, but again, it's a gift for the people around me so that they don't have to make these choices for me when I can't speak for myself. And it also ensures that all the pennies that I have in the bank, and I mean pennies, you guys, like at least $5 worth, will be passed on to my sibling. Meri is rolled into the room where the procedure is going to be done. She's been given some oxygen and given some medication that will put her out. Meri falls fast asleep, and the doc says something that I don't think any of us expected.
Can you have Cody come into the room, please?
Get ready for chaos. I'm going to spare you the graphic nature of this section. The show has turned into some sort of medical show all of a sudden. I am watching Sister Wives. I don't want to see polyps getting removed. It is very graphic. I am not into any of this. Ugh. The doctor keeps asking, how is Meri doing? And the nurse says, she's great. She's doing great. He starts to point out polyps to Cody on the screen, and pretty soon Cody gets involved, and he's pointing out at polyps too. He meets with Meri in the recovery room and tells her she's done a real good job. Okay, so there were 2 polyps. He removed them. They're being sent off to biopsy to see if they're cancerous or not. It's going to take about 3 days to get the results back. And meanwhile, Meri has a party to put on. She goes to Robin's house and says that, life goes on. We got to keep it moving. And she likes the fact that she has something to distract her. Cody is angrily hacking at the sidewalk. It's icy. Robin and Christine pull up and they start unloading the van. And man, Cody is really ticked at Christine.
All this help I was supposed to have doing this.
Christine says she was supposed to have the boys shovel the walk.
I need to do this before this freezes.
Well, then less talky talk and more hacky hack. Christine said she already knew she was in trouble because he was like hacking away at the driveway at the ice with the shovel.
Did you realize that you were supposed to have one of the children do this?
Right now is not the time to talk, really?
You're a parent too, Cody. I'm pretty sure your kids have phones. Did you call one of them and make sure? Why are you putting it on Christine to tell the kids what you want them to do? Aren't you a parent too? Totally confusing to me. And also, it's Robin's walkway. She doesn't currently have a job. Maybe she could shovel her own driveway. What a thought. Mind is blown. I think I'm feeling a little protective of Christine here because we're seeing Robin going back and forth in front of Cody and they're giving one another googly eyes. And then Christine walks by and he's yelling at her. And it's Robin's walkway. Christine says she was already feeling really defensive because it felt like he was just after her. And because I've watched the video footage, I can tell you, yeah, he was just after you, Christine.
Cooking is a very social event for women.
Just a public service announcement, it can also be a really social event for men too. Who knew? Come on in, boys. It's a social event for everyone. Robin says cooking can be a lot of fun, but she doesn't live in the big house with everybody else. So a lot of times she gets lonely because she knows that they're all over there having a great time, having a ton of fun, and she's by herself making dinner. Christine says, we're not always getting along and having a great time. Sometimes we argue as well. Robin says, I just assumed you're all just having a great time and having a lot of fun. I didn't even think that you might be arguing. Christine says, it's really fun cooking together like this. We should do this for Thanksgiving too. Everyone cooking in one kitchen. Christine is working on ambrosia salad and she tells Robin, you should take some. And Robin's like, I can't eat that. It'll make me barf. Christine's like, okay, well, I guess you could feed me then. So Robin does. She gives her a big scoopful and Christine goes, ambrosia salad. And they both laugh and laugh and laugh. It's fun to see them have this little exchange. I don't know that saying something that somebody made is going to make you barf is the best thing to say, but I also don't think Christine took any offense to it. Robin goes on to talk about how the dynamic is different when Cody is there. Robin says things get a little tense when Cody's in the mix. It interrupts the flow. They get along a lot better when he's not there. They have to make sure that they're not stepping on one another's toes and like not being too affectionate with him or not enough. It's a real tightrope walk. Meri tries to pull Cody into the table layout because she's not happy with what Robin wants to do, and she's hoping he's going to vote for her side. Meri says, "What do you think, Cody? 3 separate tables or 1 long one? I don't like 3 separate tables, but Robin does." Cody takes in a deep breath and then blows a raspberry. So I guess he's undecided too. Robin is all of a sudden in the bathroom telling the cameras that her and Meri have a really close relationship, and she kind of gets along with Christine too. It's like she has best buddies, she says. But when Cody comes in, they're no longer just focused on each other. They're now all focused on him, and it creates real problems and conflict for everybody. Back in the dining room, Cody and Meri stretch their arms out to see how many tables can they fit if they only do it lengthwise. Cody announces that only 2 tables are going to fit if they do it that way. Robin, who really wants 3 separate tables and not 1 long table, was like, "Oh, I want to try it the way Meri wants it because she's a good sister wife and she doesn't really care about the table after all." So she insists that they move the table to start it. And man, I really wish I had that clip and I could show it to you. But something wonky happened when I was editing, and I am not recording this whole show all over again. I have had a day, people, let me tell you. But anyway, it looks like Robin is kind of throwing the tables into like 1 long line. And sure, she could be in a hurry. Maybe people are going to be there soon, so she has to hurry this process up of like setting the tables up. But it seems like she's mad and she's giving into what Meri wants, but she's definitely going to put a little stink about it. Robin again mentions, she can be jealous sometimes too. Sometimes she can tell that Cody has had an intimate conversation with one of his wives or feels closer to one of his wives, and she has to be really secure in herself and that he loves her too, just like he loves Christine, Meri, and Janelle. This flies in the face of everything that Robin has said already. What she said in the beginning was she knows Cody's going to be a good husband because she's seen him be a good husband to all those women, and he still loves all those women, and so she feels secure because he can see how much he cares about them, and that means he will also care about her in that same way. Now what she's saying is, when they're close, I feel insecure. I wonder if we've stumbled on something here that potentially could explain how she decided to go about handling Cody. She figured out that if he's around her more, and if she placates him, or in her words, treats him like her best customer, that ends up creating more power for her and more security for her. She's very good at convincing Cody to do what she wants to do in a way that makes him feel like he's the one in control of making all the decisions. And I wonder if her motivation to do that was really driven by this insecurity that she's talking about feeling in this scene. The Browns' guests begin to arrive for their friend appreciation dinner. So all these guests come pouring in. They brought the baby, and it was so funny because Cody's like, "Oh, great, you brought the baby." And I'm sure Christine was like, "I wanted to bring my baby." It looks like they're having a buffet. Everybody fills their plates, and then they go and sit down around the table, and they talk about how everyone knows everyone else. Cody tells us that he finally decided to become public from this scripture, and it was, "Put your light on a candlestick, not under a bushel." I wonder if he was in the fire retardant section of the Bible. Just a little light Bible humor. I hope no one takes offense to that. It's honestly just a joke. Cody stands up and says, this is a friendship appreciation dinner. Christine says that she really loves the fact that she can be open and share who her family is with her coworkers. Janelle also says that she hasn't been open before, and when it came out, there was a lot of discussion in the office and people staring at her and stuff. And this guy was like, he texted her and he was like, "I know what's going on. I know you're a sister wife," smiley face, smiley face, smiley face emojis. And it's just a really heartwarming thing that she could just be who she is in the office, and it was fine. Christine brought her boss, and she said that every time he could introduce her as a polygamist, he did. And then they all laughed. This is Cody's friend, I believe. I don't think that he worked with this person, but I don't know. He didn't go into that. And his friend talks about how he discovered that he was a polygamist. I think Cody introduced him to a bunch of the different wives at different times. And so he finally was like, "What is going on?" The only person that did not bring a coworker was Robin, because she probably never had a job. So this is someone from 7th grade that she knew. And so this person has known for a long time that she was a polygamist. And Robin says that she felt really bad having to hide the secret from her. And when she told her, she started crying. And it really made Robin upset that her friend was crying because she had lied to her. And her friend says, it just meant so much that she told me what was really going on. And it wasn't something she told everybody. It just brought us closer, she says. I'm pretty sure this guy brought his daughter. At least I'm hoping that's his daughter because she looks all of 18. The dinner party was a success, and now Cody and Meri go back to the hospital to get the results of her colonoscopy. A few days later, Meri and Cody go back to the doctor to receive the results. The doctor comes in and wishes them a happy new year, and it is a happy new year because her results are negative. She does not have cancer. She doesn't need to worry about it for another 3 years when she comes back in for another screening. And let's all fingers crossed that Meri is keeping these appointments. Okay, this is great news. Meri does not have cancer, and that's the end of this episode. That's it for this week. I hope you have a wonderful week. If you liked the video, please give a thumbs up. If you have not yet subscribed, please consider doing so. It costs you absolutely nothing and makes a huge difference on my end. Thanks again. Bye-bye.